Good morning and welcome to Unity Palo Alto Sunday Service Celebration, Shelter Edition. I'm Reverend John Riley, Senior Minister here, and it's just a joy to have you here today. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Unity is a welcoming and inclusive spiritual center, helping people from all walks of life live life better, do life better through spiritual practices, through spiritual living. Now, our topic today is what's the answer? And today is our annual spiritual Q&A service. So it's an opportunity for us to interact. You'll have the opportunity to tell us that to let us know what your questions are. You can send them in. I'll have instructions a little bit later, but you can send them in through email by emailing connecting@unitypaloalto.org. And you can go to our website where there's a web page that allows you to fill out a form, or you can type it into the chat, and we have two lovely assistants that will be monitoring the chat, and we'll be going from there. So with that in mind, welcome, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day, and we begin our service with our opening song with Deborah Winters. Take it away, Deborah.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. And let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now.
Good morning. I am Joe Angeles, and it's so good to connect with all of you this morning. Welcome to Unity Palo Alto's online service. We are part of a worldwide movement of prayer, publishing, and education, teaching positive, practical spiritual principles that you can apply every day to help you live a more joyful and abundant life. Unity is a spiritual movement. We are welcoming and inclusive, and wherever you are in your path, you are welcome here. And we have 5 core principles that guide us on our spiritual path. Our first principle, God is. There is one power and presence active in the universe and in our lives, God the good, the omnipotent. Our second principle, God is the substance and intelligence innate in every person in all of creation. Third principle, thoughts in our mind produce after their kind. That means we have the ability to affect our world. Our fourth principle is the practice of prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation connect us to that creative, constructive power of God to work in us and through us. Our fifth principle is the practical applications. So as we live according to these truths daily, we become what we are created to be, the living expressions of the image of God, which Unity calls the Christ. These 5 core principles guide us in living our vision statement, and I invite you to affirm it with me. Together, centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. And so it is. And we are a welcoming and vibrant community with many virtual opportunities for spiritual growth, sacred service, and celebrating our community. First one, do you have any pent-up energy from all of this sheltering in grace? And here's a special invitation from Karen Friedman to free up that pent up energy.
I am fine-tuning the playlist for the upcoming dance party I'll be hosting on Friday, July 10th at 7 p.m. I'm planning an hour of music that will make you want to get up and dance. We will each be Zooming from our own homes. You can dance from your chair if you like, with your camera on or off, it's up to you. It's just going to be a fun hour to enjoy the music and each other. Be sure to sign up on the website and invite your friends. Everyone is welcome from all over the country. Your $20 admission will go toward our center. I'm so looking forward to a fun hour with you on July 10th.
And you can get your tickets on our fundraisers page, and you can check out two more of our pickup parties. The first one, 3 wellness sessions with Susan Lewis, and Dinner to Your Door by Paul and Alice Goodwin. And there's no spiritual coffee talk today. Instead, our Board of Trustees invites us to the Financial Update Zoom after the service at 11 a.m. So join us so we can hear about the latest about our finances and our fundraising efforts. And you are free to come and ask questions. So the link for the Zoom meeting is on our website, which is unitypaloalto.org. And you can check out more information on all of these announcements and other opportunities. You can also check out our social media channels. There are so many ways to connect with us and share the good news that is Unity Palo Alto. And if you are watching us in YouTube or Facebook, we invite you to pop over to the chat room and greet each other from there. Or you can simply put your hand on your heart and send that love to all your friends and family in Unity. And if you are tuning in for the first time or you are back from a long absence, we'd love to hear from you. So we invite you to fill out an online connection card, which can be found on our website at www.unitypaloalto.org. Happy Sunday, everyone. And now we turn it over to Deborah for our call to worship.
Did you start?
Possibility. I am open to the possibility of a life that is meant to be lived by me. I am open to the possibility. I am open to the possibility of a life that is meant to be lived by me. I don't have all the answers now, but I'm willing to take it slow. And I believe that something is calling me where the path will lead. I don't know. I am open to the possibility. Yes, I am open to the possibility of a life that is meant to be lived by me. I am open.
And now, our reading from the Daily Word. Today's Daily Word is comfort. I will read our affirmation and then I invite you to affirm it with me. Christ in me is my comfort. Would you affirm that with me? Together, Christ in me is my comfort. Experiences that move me out of my comfort zone are part of my life. The first day at a new school, starting or leaving a job, new phase in a relationship, retiring from a career, the passing of a loved one. Any change can evoke discomfort, even grief. I grieve when I think of change as loss of security, loss of my place in my community, or loss of love. The Christ, the divine presence of life, love, and wisdom within me is my constant source of comfort through all of life's changes. I find assurance that although its physical expressions may change, life can never end. I know oneness and love with all who have been dear to me. Recognizing my divine nature, I know that there is no loss, change, or circumstance that can limit me, and I am comforted. And our Bible verse for today is from Psalm chapter 71, verse 21. You will increase my honor and comfort me once again. And now we turn it over for Deborah for a solo.
Take all my vicious words and turn them into something good. Take all my preconceptions and let the truth be understood. Take all my prized possessions, leave only what I need. Take all my pieces of doubt and let me be what's underneath. Courage is when you're afraid, but you keep on moving anyway. Courage is when you're in pain, but you keep on living anyway. We all have excuses why, living in fear, something in us dies. Like a bird with a broken wing, it's not how high he flies, but the song he sings. Courage is when you're afraid, but you keep on moving anyway. Courage is when you're in pain, but you keep on living anyway. It's not how many times you've been knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. It's not how many times you've been knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. Oh yeah, you get back up. Courage is when you've lost your way, but you find your strength anyway. Courage is when you're afraid. Courage is when it all seems gray. And courage is when you make a change and you keep on living anyway. You keep on moving anyway. And you keep on giving anyway. And you keep on loving anyway.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah. Before we begin our service today, I want to let you know how grateful I am to our music team. I don't know if you know this or not, but these are all professional performers who make their living performing. And the irony is, the two most dangerous places it seems to be these days are in nightclubs or churches. So I don't know what they're going to do. But I'm so grateful to our music team because what they're doing is they're putting together a concert for us as a fundraiser. So I want you to mark your date for July 18th. And it's going to be an amazing event. It'll be in the evening. We're just working out the logistics, probably around 6 o'clock. So you can, or 5 or 6, so we can have a beautiful concert, and then you can get on with your evening. And it's going to be Deborah Winters, Margot Leduc, Ronnie Beck, Rick Vandeveer, and the maestro, Russell Norman, will all be performing for us. So we're just so excited and so grateful for them to give us this gift, because they're giving this to us. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Today is our Q&A service. Now, every year we have a spiritual Q&A service. It's an opportunity for us to connect with each other, for you to ask me any spiritual question that you might have, and I'll do my best to answer it. Now, this is the first time we've done it, obviously, on live stream only. So here's how we can do it. We're going to take a few moments in the stillness in just a little bit to allow that creative juice to percolate and the questions to form. And then what you can do is you can take your question and you can type it into the chat, into the Facebook chat, into the YouTube chat. Both Brenna and Joe are going to be monitoring those. Or I think Brenna's going to be monitoring those for us, and she'll be asking me the questions. You can send your email, your question via email to connecting@unitypaloalto.org. We also have a form if you want to do it anonymously. There is, I won't mention any names today, but you can do it anonymously at unitypaloalto.org/question. And there's a little form there that you can fill out, submit your question, and that will be sent to us, and then we'll answer it. So to begin, let's just take a moment. Let's take a moment to settle in, to just take an opportunity to turn within. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or simply soften your gaze as we move our attention from the outer experience of life to the inner. And with each breath, we allow our emotions to settle. We allow our thoughts to settle as we open to divine wisdom. With our heart open to divine love, we know that divine love is flowing in and through us, and we just allow whatever questions are within us to emerge gently and effortlessly. And as those questions emerge, I invite you to write them down or type them in an email or type them in the chat. And throughout this talk, as we go along, if something else comes up, feel free to type something else in. And as we take a nice, deep, cleansing breath, we return our attention to this present moment. Now, what I typically do is just ask questions by random. And so I'm going to ask Brenna to do that in a moment. And I'll let you know that I'll answer as many questions as I can during the time that we have, knowing that we have an 11 o'clock meeting scheduled. And knowing that if I don't get to your question, I will be collecting the questions continually, and I will be including them in subsequent talks. So if we don't get to your question, then don't worry, we'll get to it at some point in the next few weeks, either that or online. So I want you to know that your questions are important, and we will answer them all. So with that, I'd like to invite my assistant Brenna, and to see if she has any questions that have come through, either through the chat or through the email, that we can get started with. So Brenna, why don't you? There you are.
There you are. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and be asking your questions. So please send them in via Facebook, YouTube. The form John sent will go directly to him, so I won't see it, or on connecting. The connecting email. I have a really important first question for you, John, and it's super serious. I hope you can handle it. The Sharks are tied and about to go on a power play. Who do you pray gives the puck?
The Sharks are tied and about to go on a power play. Now, of course, the face-off is important spiritually. The face-off. We're going to do a little metaphysics of hockey. The face-off is when we face the opponent. We face that thought, that idea, that belief that's telling us that we're not good enough to score on this power play. Now, historically, the Sharks have not been very good on the power play. I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, we're talking about the most important sport in the world, hockey. And I know that many follow those secondary sports. What are they called? Football, baseball, basketball? Anyway, so we're talking about hockey here. So you're facing that belief. And when the puck drops, that's the idea of there's the thought that drops, and it's up to you to either grab it as best you can. And sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. But the key here is to set up our spiritual defense. So we got to set up ground ourselves in our spiritual principle. We have to ground ourselves in knowing that regardless of where the puck is, regardless of where that thought is, where that idea is, that we can take control of our thoughts. And then we can use the power of the power play. That means we have one extra player. So we have one extra faculty. We can use our faculties of wisdom, our faculty of will, our faculty of imagination, imagining that puck in the back of the net, which if you're a Sharks fan, sometimes that's what it takes. So who do I pray to? I don't pray to somebody, but I pray for, I hold that each player is going to draw upon their innate abilities, as Joe said in our daily word, that Christ presence within them. Now, I know those other teams have that same Christ presence, unless you're the Detroit Red Wings. And I know that we hold each one of them in our hearts as well. Go Sharks. Did that answer the question, Brenna?
I definitely think it did. Thank you so much, John. Good. All right, our first, second question is, how do we make sense of so much suffering in the world?
Well, let's just take a deep breath. I think the key is to understand that suffering is an experience that we have when we are holding on to the outer conditions of the world, when we are holding on to, we're giving meaning and we're investing our energy into what's happening in the outer. The first thing that we need to do, of course, is turn within and to know that wherever we are, whatever we're experiencing, either personally or out in the world, that divine love is at work. We need to know that divine wisdom is available for us to draw upon at any situation. Now, when we are connected or when we are not connected, when we are really attached to an outcome, when we're attached to something that's happening and we want it to go a certain way and it doesn't go that certain way, that's when we experience the most suffering. There are plenty of opportunities for us to look out into the world and see suffering. When we look at the protests that are happening, because we need to heal as a country. We need to understand that Black Lives Matter. We need to put that forefront in our thoughts so that we can draw out that healing and create that healing in our world. And until we are able to do that, we will experience suffering because we are either resisting that idea that all people are created with the same spiritual image, in the same spiritual image and likeness of God, that all people are created and have that divine potential within us. And when we ignore that, or when we treat somebody as separate, as below us, as not as important to us, to the world, as second class, then we are diminishing ourselves and we're diminishing each other. So the suffering comes from our inability to connect with that innate divinity within each person. Our suffering comes when we look at ourselves in whatever group, whatever silo that we're putting ourselves in, whether it's a silo of a religion, whether it's a silo of a political party, whether it's a silo of a sexual orientation, a gender identification, whether it's a silo of just, our belief in how life works. Whatever those beliefs are, when we separate ourselves from each other, when we separate ourselves, we are separating ourselves from Source. When we put a barrier between each other, we are separating ourselves from God, from that divine intelligence, from that divine love that is always there and always available. So our practice in unity is to always go back to that identity, that Christ identity, as we call it, that every person has, that divine nature, that higher consciousness, that higher awareness. Now, we may not all act from that, clearly. On a daily basis, it's a reminder for me. I've got to continue to go back to that. But when we go back to that, that knowing of our oneness with Source, knowing that divine love is our true energy that flows through us, knowing that divine wisdom is trying to make its way through our belief system every moment of the day, when we go back to that and we open ourselves up to that possibility, then we're able to see through the suffering. We're able to move through the suffering, even if it's something that's personal, even if it's something that's within you or within a family member. We're able to be present, to be a loving, uplifting presence, a presence of hope, a presence of guidance, a presence of love. And I think that's the way we move through this experience. Whether we're talking about the experience in our society, in sheltering in place. Yesterday there were several fires that occurred because of inappropriate fireworks in California. Whatever it is, that condition that's out there, we must approach it from that presence within us. We must approach it from that presence of God and allow that energy to flow through us, because we are the ones that have to bring it to the world. We are the ones that have to be courageous to step forward and say, this is what I believe, and I honor that divinity within you, and I'm here to support you in that. So I believe that's how we address the suffering that we're experiencing. And we can it's not always easy, but when we take a moment to take a breath, go back to our basic spiritual principles, our spiritual practices, go back to seeking gratitude, practicing forgiveness, and seeing that light in each other. That's how we'll be able to move through what we call the valley of the shadow of death. The key is to move through it, to keep walking so that we can get to the other side. So that's what came to me. That's what's alive in me right now around that topic. Thank you, Brenna. Is there another question? You're on.
All right. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Our next question is, let's see here. This is from Marsha. Where do we go after we die? Do we still have our personalities, or are they completely gone? Can we communicate with our dear departed family members and loved ones?
That's an excellent question. the teachings of unity, the core principles of unity, are all around the present moment, are all around living in this present moment with this consciousness. Now, our theories are, our beliefs are that yes, once we transition from this place, it's not the end, for that consciousness continues. In unity, that's what we call the soul. The soul is the sum total of our consciousness, our conscious thoughts, our subconscious thoughts, our superconscious thoughts, all of those, that sum total of our consciousness continues on. Some believe and have experienced that after you die, that there is a time when you are working through whatever lessons that you came here to learn. And whatever lessons that you didn't learn, you have the opportunity to learn them again. Some people believe that there's you might come back through reincarnation as another individual to express and experience more things. Other people believe that you move into a different plane of existence, a different energy, and that you are here to express and experience and to connect with your loved ones. Other people believe that you simply return to source. You return to that one consciousness. You return to that, to the wholeness of the universe, the wholeness of spirit, and that you're living in that presence. I believe that through all of those thoughts, I believe that our consciousness does continue. I believe that the lessons that we've learned here in this lifetime go with us. Because I believe that's part of this current incarnation, that this being here on earth is to spiritually evolve that consciousness, is to grow and to learn and to allow our consciousness to understand more of its divinity and to express more of its divinity. That's really, I think, one of our key purposes here. Whatever we want to do in life, whatever goals that we have, those are all great. And that's how we express, that's how we bring forth this beauty of our individualized expression of this allness of God. And so what we choose to do with our life is up to us. And in that, we're here to grow. We're here to learn how to express more of that divine intelligence through this individualized consciousness called John. And as I do that, then I am spiritually evolving. I'm spiritually growing. And at the end of this particular incarnation, when this body is done, then it's really like moving through a doorway into a new realm, into a new experience. Some people like to call it the hallway, right? We leave this experience of life, we go into the hallway in preparation for the next experience, whatever that may be. And I think we have, it's up to our individualized consciousness to determine how I can best grow and what my next step might be. I know that there are many people who are able to connect with this idea of a consciousness beyond that of people who have passed. I know that there are many people who have recollections or experiences of past lifetimes. And I know that there are people who believe that once we're done here, we simply go back and we return to source. Whatever that is for us, whatever that belief that is for us, if it is supporting you in this present moment, because this present moment is all that we have. This present moment right here is all that truly exists. And as whatever thoughts that we have about the future or about the past, if they are supportive of you, of uplifting your heart, of uplifting your thoughts, of aligning yourself with that one presence and power that's active in the universe, that omnipotence, that omnipresent, omnipower, if it helps you to align with that, then I think it's helpful. And if it doesn't, then you have the opportunity to evaluate a different thought about what happens after you die. So that's John Riley's interpretation of what happens. So Brenna, back to you.
Thank you, John. Gosh, I'm learning so much today. All right, we have a couple questions that are similar, so I'm going to put them together. Sue asks, and I'm going to echo this. John, do you know how much we appreciate you? We love you so much. All right. What are you doing to take care of yourself during this difficult time? And Alicia asks, what are the things that have brought you joy recently?
Well, I took off 2 Sundays. We had 2 guest speakers. I was still working during the week, but it was really nice to have those 2 Sundays off because much of my week, each week, is in preparing for the next Sunday's talk. So I was able to disconnect for a little bit and just allow my brain to relax. And on Sunday, this last Sunday, in fact, Tiffany was running the live stream. Thank you. Okay. And I was lying in bed, meditating and listening to Greg Lavoie speak, and just being present. It was fantastic. It was wonderful. The other thing that we're doing is, as a family, we're all sheltered in place, but what we're going to do is, as a family, go and rent a condo somewhere, and rent a boat and get on a lake and do inner tubing. So we'll be socially distanced on our boat. We're not going to connect with anybody, but we'll be there as a family. We'll be inner tubing. We'll be boating. We'll be celebrating life, and that's another way in which we're going to take a little time off to connect. So I'm really excited about that. I'm so grateful. Thank you for letting me know how much you appreciate me. I'm human, and sometimes I need to hear that because there are times when I forget it. So thank you. Thank you very much. And what's brought me joy is my family recently. Just, knowing that this is hard, what we're doing, this sheltering in place, and being able to come together and know that we're going through it together, even when it's hard, has been a great comfort. So I'm very grateful for them. And I'm grateful for you. Thank you all. Thanks, Brenna. Next question.
Thank you. All right. I have another double question that I'm going to put together. All right. Someone says, let's play Stump the Guru. What is your favorite book of the Bible and why? And then Sherry asks if you can recommend 2 of your favorite books.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, there are many books in the Bible that I like. There are many books in the Bible that make me scratch my head and make me pull out the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary so that I can interpret it. All right? The Bible is Unity's textbook from the perspective of, we can look at it from a perspective of our consciousness. It's an example of how our consciousness evolves from start to finish. And what's one of my gurus and teachers, Reverend Sky St. John, once said, the biggest mistake that we ever made was putting a back cover on the Bible, because we continue to evolve and we continue to grow, and there's many things that we could expand on. One of my favorite books there, though, are the allegories of Genesis, and is specifically the creation stories, because they were written as allegory. They're written as the idea of how we create, and the creation stories. If you haven't heard of it, there's seven steps in that creation story, because 7 is the number of spiritual completion as represented in the Bible. And so those seven steps in the creation story are how we personally create as well. There's a wonderful class. It used to be in the C curriculum, the Spiritual Education and Enrichment curriculum. I'm not sure, they might have combined it, but it was called The Creative Process. I took that class when I was becoming a licensed teacher. This was 14 years ago, I think, somewhere in that time frame, 13, 14 years ago. And it was during that class that I was using that process to discern whether I wanted to become a minister or not. Now, the calling for me to become a minister happened when I was 17, happened when I was in the Youth of Unity, happened a long time ago. And like a lot of callings, we tend to ignore them. So this calling just kept coming back stronger and stronger. And so I decided to use this course and that process as a way of discerning whether I should become a minister. And the class was taught by Reverend Sky St. John at the time. It was a week-long class. an intensive class at Unity Palo Alto. And at the end of it, we were supposed to give a presentation. And my mom was there too. My mom took the class with me. She didn't know what I was thinking. I wrote it all down. I wrote down my presentation. And just before, the night before, I thought, this might be a good thing to, mention to my wife that I was thinking about becoming a minister. So I said, well, honey, here's my presentation for tomorrow. And I read it. And then we had a good hour-long talk about, well, what does that mean? Does that mean you're going away? And for us, it didn't, because I was part of the field program. So it was really an opportunity for me to just say, nothing is going to change. Everything is going to go exactly the way it is. I'm going to continue with school. This is a long-term process. The path I was taking was to become a licensed teacher so I could be eligible for the field licensing program. So the whole process took 9 years for me. And through that 9 years, it was an opportunity for us, Tiffany and I, to grow and understand and discern and decide what it means to be a minister, what it means to be a minister's spouse, a minister's family, and have our agreements of how we're going to live our life, because that's the most important thing, and for us. And so we came to that conclusion. So that's why this particular book is so important to me. I probably went a little bit above and beyond the question, but the Bible has, if you look at it, I think, from a unity perspective, from a perspective of the metaphysical interpretation of how we live in that story. In every story, we can see ourselves at some phase in our evolution and our own evolution of consciousness, evolution of the soul. And so when we look at it from that perspective, it can be a very empowering tool to help us live life better. So I'm very grateful for that question. I know we're coming up to the end of the service, and yes, we're gonna try and hit one of those. I'm gonna do one last question very quickly, and that is that I received earlier in the week. It was actually the first person that came in through email. First question. It says, if there is no God out there, and we are in His image, who do we pray to? My wife? No. I need to be able to feel like I'm mentally talking to someone when I pray. What do I do? This is a great question because it really hits on 3 of our 5 principles that Joe talked about this morning. The idea of what is God? God is the image, and God is the essence of all life. God lives in and through each of us. God is everywhere present. God is the principle of omnipotence, that is not all-knowing, but all-knowledge. God is the principle of omnipotence. God is all-power, not all-powerful. So in unity, God isn't an entity that's out there. God is the life force, the wisdom, the love, the harmony that flows through the universe, that loving energy. Now, we experience that in many ways. In some way, we experience it as a loving presence. And so in some way, that may feel like it's outside of us. And yes, we are made in the spiritual image and likeness of God. We are an individualized expression of that allness. And so we are like the ocean on the wave, where the ocean is a part of the wave, where the ocean is a part of the wave in its entirety. So all of this is God's stuff. But we don't recognize it. We see it as more as something separate from us. And I think that's our practice. So the practice of prayer, very quickly, and this is something that I'll do a whole talk on, but the practice of prayer is our aligning ourselves with that which we are seeking. So if we are seeking wisdom, if we're seeking health, if we're seeking harmony, the practice is, instead of asking for it from someone out there because we think we're separate, we think we lack it, is aligning our thoughts and thinking, okay, it's here within me. God is within me. God is present. And so I'm aligning myself with that one presence and one power. I'm praying from that experience of wholeness. I'm praying from that affirmation of health. And at the end of the day, if it works for you, if you really get that sense feeling more fully when you're thinking about it out there, then that's okay. Try it this way, and if it doesn't work, continue doing it your way. Because whatever is opening us up to that feeling and that experience and that knowing that we're one with Source, whatever's opening us up, that's allowing us to come a little bit closer to whatever that is. So I'm going to put a pause on the questions for now, and I'm going to take us into a quick time of meditation. We're running a little bit over today. I'm so grateful for all your questions. Continue to put your questions in, because they make great topics for the rest of the year. So if I need a topic, I'll pull from the questions, and we'll definitely answer all of the questions as we can. But for now, I want you to take a moment to just turn within. Take a moment to center into that presence within you, that energy within you. To close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or simply soften your gaze as we take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. And as we breathe, we open ourselves up to this divine intelligence, knowing that it is ever present, always available, waiting for us to simply quiet our thoughts enough to hear. We take a nice deep cleansing breath and open our hearts to divine love, allowing that harmonizing energy to flow through us, allowing Spirit's energy to flow through us, to flow as us, to fill us up with hope, to fill us up with appreciation and gratitude, to fill us up with joy. And with a nice deep cleansing breath, we open ourselves up to divine inspiration, knowing that the answers to all of our questions truly come from within. And so we allow ourselves to be open, be receptive, be at peace in the stillness. With gratitude in our hearts, we give thanks for the freedom of spirit. With gratitude in our heart, we give thanks for this overflowing joy and abundance, for divine intelligence that lives and moves and has its being within us. With gratitude in our heart, we give thanks for this opportunity to come together as a spiritual community to express and experience that love that has no boundaries, that passes through all silos, so that we may know our oneness in God. And so it is. And so we give thanks. And so we celebrate by singing the Alleluia.
Hallelujah, hallelujah,
And with a nice deep cleansing breath, we return our attention to this space and open our eyes if we haven't already done so. And know that Unity Palo Alto is committed to helping you live life better through personal growth and spiritual practices. We're here to help you discover that spiritual magnificence that is within you and to live from that magnificence every day so that you can do life better. Excuse me. We take this opportunity now to move into a time of affirmative prayer. As we hold all of our prayer requests in our hearts, knowing that divine love is doing its perfect work in each situation, revealing the spiritual magnificence in each person and establishing spiritual wholeness now. We take this opportunity to hold in our hearts all of those prayer requests. And I invite you now to hold in your heart Mary Engstrom. Our dear friend Mary made her transition about a week ago. And so I invite you to hold Mary and her husband Herb and her family in your hearts. I invite you to remember them, remember her with love, with appreciation, and with gratitude, to surround her and her family with love, knowing that divine love is doing its perfect work right now, in whatever expression and experience that soul, that consciousness is taking right now. We know that divine love is doing its perfect work. And so we hold the same prayer for our world, national, state, and local leaders, seeing them making wise and loving decisions for peace on earth, for goodwill, for equality and justice for all people. And with this love in our heart, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen. We take this time to step into a spiritual practice of living in the flow of abundance. Unity Palo Alto is a self-sustaining spiritual center and helping people all over the world to do life better through spiritual living. And there's so many ways in which you can support our spiritual community through donating through PayPal on our website or by mailing in a check. And so I invite you to prepare your love offering now to step into that flow of giving and receiving. The affirmation that we say is on the screen, and I invite you to affirm it with me. Together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is. Amen.
Sing along. Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, and put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, please don't hesitate, and put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart, and you want the world to know we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Oh, take a good look around, and if you're feeling down, put a little love in your heart. Kindness will be your guide, 'cause Spirit lives inside. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Oh, put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Brenna. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Russell. I'm so excited for our concert coming up. So don't forget, July 18th. More information will be on our website shortly. And don't forget, the Spiritual Zoom is coming up next. And now for our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Love and blessings, everyone. Have a wonderful week.